drama week.
Well, let's hop into it. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez. Joining me tonight, he asked the realtor how many sex offenders were in the neighborhood. She said 3. He said, not enough. It's Robert Wyatt.
When I moved in there, it became 4.
Yeah. He's bringing it up 25. He's bringing it up 33% increase.
Those are rookie numbers in this league. Cut up your numbers.
There's got to be one of those guys who's just like, I got to get in a neighborhood with a bunch in case I commit a crime. There's like 4 other guys they interview, because that's what they would always do. It's just like, what happened? All right, well, like go hit the local perps. Where were you? Where are these perv kids? Where were you guys at? That's how they handle them. And now they just geofence everything and they just go, who is this? Whatever, your cell phone. Don't take your cell phones to crimes, everybody. It's bad news.
That is the craziest thing that just blows my mind, is how many people just have no concept of the idea that your cell phone is this personal little GPS blinking light on the top of your head that's saying, I am here. I am here at this time. I am doing all these things. It's like lesson number 1. If you're going to go do shady ass shit, don't take your cell phone with you. I mean, lesson number 1 is don't do it. But I mean, lesson number 2 is don't take things that are going to identify you.
If I've ever thought about how you would commit a perfect murder or whatever, just as a thought experiment, nothing that you ever have that you're going to use to commit the crime can you ever be seen with, or can it go with you and it can't come back. So it's like you almost have to build like this little thing of like what you're going to use, never show it to anybody, buy it all cash over a long period of time, put it on, go do the thing, come back. And then like all that stuff gets trashed or burned along the way, and that's it. Nothing that's ever yours can go do these things. That includes like automobiles and vehicles. Like you ever that those, what were they, Army Rangers who like started robbing banks up in Washington? They robbed this one bank.
Oh yeah.
They got away with everything except for one kid didn't. The one getaway driver kid didn't take off his front license plate. Like the back one's missing, but he left the front one. Like the little mundane thing, got them all thrown in prison. I think
when I was younger, like forensic files was like all the rage in high school, and it was like, oh yeah, we watched it tons. And so like our lunch group, we would always talk about these cases, and we kind of like, how would you commit the perfect murder? And what we came up with, we came up with all kinds of ideas to try and get. It's like you can never ever, like, you could come up with the best solution in the entire world. I mean, different clothes, different shoes, different this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, that old guy who woke up in the middle of the night because he had to go to the bathroom and he saw you dragging the body down the street. That randomness of just weird, stupid luck that you can never account for.
Yeah, well, the point is like don't interact with anything like that. That's the one thing of like, if you're trying to hide a body or whatever, like the one thing you can do is like just make it appear like stranger violence. Like the best thing you could do is be like, oh, this guy seemed like he had no enemies, this person's dead or whatever like that. It's just stranger violence. But the problem is, the people that you want to plan to kill, they're not strangers to you because they occupy your mind so much that you plan on murdering them. And so then it almost never becomes something. People can never get away with it because they're always next to it. And then their idea is like, I'll pay somebody. So and then they'll like, I'm going to pay somebody. And then what this becomes is like, who would commit murders? Oh, yes, this drug-addled guy who can't hold a job. He's the one I'll pay to do this, and it'll go all right. And it's just like, nope, it never happens. Never happens.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the best advice, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, like, like how to get away with a crime on the PARAcast. The best advice that like anybody will ever give you is never talk to the cops. I've watched so many of these YouTube videos where they have the detectives talking to the suspect, and the detectives are like, yeah, we flat out got nothing, but the guy just wouldn't shut up. It's like, bro, keep your mouth shut.
Yep. As any good lawyer will tell you, you just shut up. And if you want to vindicate yourself, I guess you don't shut up. Like the whole Trex Arms thing is pretty interesting. Like it's just, what is it? I would say it's Well, I guess the story is Lucas Botkin. He came out with this video last night where as a young man he started T-Rex Arms with a couple grand, and a brother and his brother's friend came over and wanted to be part of the company, and didn't seem like they offered anything as far as money or assets to grow the company.
I know, and that's the craziest thing of the whole situation was like they come and they start working for him. Like, cool, work for family. I grew up in a job that I was working for family, so that makes perfect sense. But then they come along, a couple years later and they're like, "Hey, we want to be owners." And it's just like there's this like for me in like my world, I mean like this red blinking light is like what do they offer? Nothing.
Yeah,
No,
like
no, we're not going to do that.
if it's like, okay, like I don't have any money to pay you for whatever you're gonna do. It's like plenty of people like who give up, like they might have an idea and they give up 20% ownership for the guy who can build the entire website, and then
Sure.
like that stuff happens quite a bit. But like this is kind of like one of those deals where it's like maybe they hopped on and tried to do administrative stuff and help with facilities and doing all that stuff that he probably didn't want to do, and it may be worth whatever. But
Well,
the
there's
whole
a,
the
I have
whole
a
the
I have
whole
a
go ahead. The whole
I was just gonna say.
Go ahead. I'm stopping.
Okay. Okay. I have a friend who told me this a long time. He says the only reason you ever have a partner is because that person can do something that you can't accomplish or pay to be done on your own. And that's why you would have a partner in business. And so if that's the case in Lucas, where like, there's things that he couldn't do on his own, then rock on with that. But I don't
But
think so.
but you don't. I don't know. It's kind of one of those deals. Like the person who starts the company and you come in a lot later, and it's like your younger sibling. You don't go in there and try to take 51% of the business when you really didn't start it. Like take majority
Yeah.
ownership and start adding. It just seems like one of those absolutely kind of just greased up, messed up situations where it's just like, well, we know better. Hand this over. We'll take care of you, and while simultaneously not taking care of you. But after kind of hearing that kind of story and just kind of thinking about that, I was just like, man, it's really frustrating to sit there and see how that would happen. And I think everybody knows that T-Rex Arms is the Lucas Botkin company. Like
Hmm.
there's great videos, like Isaac's put out like great videos and stuff like that before, and there's a lot of like good stuff like that. But like this is the Lucas
T-Rex.
Botkin company, and like they should have sold it back to him, but like boss move of a play, forcing them to pay him out and leaving the company.
Yeah. T-Rex Arms is Lucas Botkin's in the same way that Apple Computers was Steve Jobs. Without Steve Jobs, Apple floundered, and T-Rex without Lucas Botkin. And I totally understand that for some people, Lucas, he's a lightning rod. Some people they like him or dislike him for any number of reasons, and I respect that. I mean, that's life, right? But at the end of the day, he started it. It's his baby, and with him not being there, that is not an insignificant amount of loss to the T-Rex name. Just not even getting into the drama of why he left. Just leaving is a big giant hole in T-Rex Arms.
Yeah, and like I don't want to see anybody get screwed over business or have to do something like that. Like here's
Hmm.
what I was sitting there thinking about today. It's like, like him leaving and coming out with this. Am I gonna think twice about buying another T Rex product? It's like I might not. I might still buy something there every once in a while. If it's a deal and a half or whatever. Um, Not like a total boycott on it, but it's just like, man, I'm gonna go to a lot of other places first when I used to go there
Right.
first for a lot of stuff, and like I just got to imagine that the the company value with having to cut him a check for his his assets, his ownership in the company, his stocks in the company, and then also sinking the ship in a way that whatever that company it was when he decided he was going to sell his part, it's definitely going to be way less on the other end when people kind of like decide they're not going to start giving them their money anymore. And so it's like, I don't know. I hope there's a situation where they kind of come to their senses and sell him the entire company back, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I've never I've never been one of those people to go out and be like, I'm going to boycott this company for this reason or for another. I've seen so many things where it's mostly the idea of like, I don't agree with this person's principles, so I'm not going to spend money with them. Um, I mean, people do it, and I totally understand it. I remember the whole thing with the NFL when everybody's like, "We hate the NFL, and we're never going to watch it again." And then people come like, they come sliming their way back and be like, "Well, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, and it's okay."
Yeah.
And I actually like what Isaac is doing. If he puts out content, I tend to watch it because he does some really really great stuff. I liked Lucas for where Lucas was at, and I I'm one of those people that I watch the videos of him running around with the M16s and the guns and all doing all that fun stuff, and I'm like, that's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, it's a little silly, but I don't care. It was showing a cool aspect of what we do in our game because I mean, shocker of all shockers, USPSA is boring as shit to watch. And I know I just offended half the people who were like, "No, USPSA is the greatest thing, and it's so much fun, and the people we just have to show it right." And it's like, no, USPSA is boring. I'm going to be the one that tells you that,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry that I have to be that one.
Yeah. It's literally the same thing over and over again. I mean, like
Yeah,
F1's a little bit more appealing. I mean, but you'd have to have some actual personalities in the sport. The thing with the Lucas and like the Isaac video stuff, it's like now I see it in the light of like a lot of times, like I used to think like, oh, these people weren't like owners; they just worked for Lucas, and Lucas was in charge and he was steering the ship. But to find out like
right.
they're coming in and then like taking part of the business almost with nothing, just be like, we're family, hey, take this, and like, hey, Lucas signed it over to him or whatever. But the idea of I'm really kind of shafted by the idea of two people coming in and then like trying to like not bully their way, but underhandedly putting themselves as majority owners of it.
Yeah,
And
no, I agree there.
I'm quite looking forward to for the response on the Lucas side and whatever the ramifications are for Trex Arms. Like that was one of the spots. Every time there was a video or something like that, I'd be happy to do it and happy to watch it and happy to go get holsters or whatever for the guns that they would make holsters for. Like I find the quality of the products and the entertainment factor and the information that they put out was fantastic, and it's just so frustrating to sit there and see the kind of like fall of that and that go away. But like I would imagine that if he's starting that place near Trex Arms in Tennessee, like I would imagine that he's poaching all the good people, and people probably can't wait for what comes out. I mean, if I sit there and I see a holster from him, like I'll be down if I need a holster.
Yeah. And I mean, he kind of talked about that in his video. I mean, the people that he feels the worst for is all the employees. And from a business standpoint, I mean, it's a weird thing, but everybody there seems to be this world where it's easy just to demonize the bosses and stuff like that. But when you understand how much stress there is worrying about making sure there's enough work for the employees and making sure that their families, because functionally you become that person who is giving a life to those employees. They're like your employees get to go and do their vacations with their family and have Christmas and put their kids into school and college because of the efforts that you took at some point in history and you created this business that now employs all of these people. And sometimes in the demonization of bosses and businesses and things like that, we forget that somebody at some point in time actually had to risk something. In case of Lucas, he had to throw $2,000 on the table and say, I'm going to try this idea. And now there's a whole host of people that live in this town that have jobs because of what he created. And
Yep.
that's I've always had like the deepest amount of respect for people who create businesses because that is something special to do that. And you're like, oh, they're doing it because they want to make money. Sure, they want to make money. We all do, but at the end of the day, you have to actually give something back to other people to make that money.
There's easier ways to make money than to start your own business. There's a lot
Yep.
easier ways to make money.
I've seen Heat. I know how this goes.
Yeah, you just you get a couple friends together who don't have any moral scruples. You go out there and you risk your life for the for the score, baby. We take scores. Taking scores. I went out there and I got, I think, well, I wouldn't say I bought my first subcompact gun, but I went out there and I bought a Glock 26 Gen 5 MOS. And
Really, why?
I think the Glock 26 still scratches all the boxes. Like
Really?
I think there's the the Shield Pluses and the P365s and even something like the 43X with the Shield Arms, get 15 or whatever in the gun.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I've had with those is they're thin or whatever, like fine, but like when I think about the subcompact gun, it's like the grip length is a big deal. Like the thickness isn't as big of a deal for me as far as like the grip length. Two, you get to put actual Glock magazines in the thing. Three, like it's accurate, it's a reliable platform. Four, it takes full size optics and dots, and it uses the same holsters. And so what back a few years ago, me and Alex were going through like what carry gun, and he went and got out the 43 and the 48, the Glock 48 and the P365 and all that stuff, and then eventually came around to the Glock 26, and it's like, yeah, it shoots like a slightly snappier 19, which isn't bad. I can throw any dot on the MOS system, and I can put magazines, and I can put it in the holster I need, and it's a super concealed carry type of setup. I mean, it's not going to be like Hellcat small, but then again, I don't want like a Hellcat or a pocket Shield Plus type gun and they're too heavy for the pocket anyway. So if it's going to be appendix, right, it might as well be something like the Glock 26. And so I got that, and I got a kind of set it up the way I wanted. I got one of the Apex trigger shoes and kits, their action enhancement kit on that bad boy, and some Glock +2 extensions, and there you go, 12 shot little handgun.
Is that +2? Is that enough to basically
pinky.
Take up the pinky?
Yeah, that was the nice thing about the Glock +2 base pads. I actually couldn't find any of the base pads, so I got two of the Glock 19X magazines that have the tan +2s on there, that are the 19 rounders. Just take those two off, swap floor plates, and then have a 10 round gun without a pinky and two 12 rounders with the pinky, and that enough for a full grip. And then the other part too, it's like with the actual Glock size grip, it's like when you come around to it, I still have something on the back strap to plant my other hand on and wrap around. And so like I'm just like that's what I'll have, and then I'll throw a Vortex Defender ST on the top, and if it works, it works. And I'll go around and carry that for the summer and shoot that, and hopefully be super happy with it. Yeah, I think the 26 is gonna be pretty freaking awesome. I'm excited about it. It's coming in pretty soon.
The 26 for a little while, and I liked it. I carried it for a long time, until I had a coworker that tried to steal it, which was interesting. And so I was like, okay, I need something that's be a little bit more concealed than that. But no, I mean it's a fantastic gun. It's interesting to me because the world has by and large left the 10 round gun behind in terms of subcompacts, where you have the Hellcats, the M&P Shields, the what do you call it, the SIG 365 XL. You know what I'm talking about, that one. I mean, and it's all kind of like changed that out for functionally just more rounds in the gun. And the nice thing about the 26 that I've always liked, though, is that it's close to a 19 in the way the grip, I mean, just the circumference of the grip, which I've always loved. It's just a little bit shorter. And I guess since you throw the +2 on there, it just basically turns it into a 19 in terms of ergonomics with a shorter barrel.
Yeah, shorter barrel and slightly shorter grip, because the +2 doesn't actually make the back strap any longer. It just makes the front strap longer.
Yeah, but it gives your pinky something
to hold on to
sit on, instead of kind of just floating off into space, which, yeah, I can totally be down with that.
Yeah, like
I used to have a Glock 30, if you remember. It was the Glock 30S, and I bought it on a whim. I walked into a store one day, and I'm like, I like 45. I mean, who doesn't like 45? Because, trying to all that dumb shit. But no, but I bought it and I carried it for a little while, and it's a great gun. But yeah, man, it's weird. Like every once in a while, I keep thinking that I should go back to Glock, and then I pull the PO7 out, and I'm like, oh, it has a hammer. Yeah, there's a reason I'm staying with this gun.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of ecosystem to play with on it, and there's just that's the one thing that I'm sitting here looking at when I look at getting a new gun. I kind of think like magazines, holsters. Like, do I want to buy
Hmm.
a new magazine or a new set of holsters? Not really. Do I want to buy new base plates? Not really. I don't kind of want to do those things. And like with the Glock,
Dude,
I could do this.
yeah, but you're right-handed, dude. I mean, so like at least you've got half the world or more than half the world that's in your favor. If I do any new gun, it's like it's always going to be this stupid game of trying to find compatibility as a left-handed, and it's just that's stopped me from buying more things than I can count.
The Glock Gen 5 reversible magazine release, slide release on the side. I mean, it's beside it ejecting the wrong way. I mean, it's perfect for everything. It's perfect for you.
Hmm.
But yeah, like the 43X and the those type guns, I just never have liked them compared to like a full size circumference grip. And I'm not looking to
Yeah.
hide it super small. If I want to hide something super small, I get something like a Keltec and 32 ACP or something like that. But I don't want that. I want a dot on my gun. And Defender ST on an MOS Glock 26 to me just sounds fantastic for the summer
No,
months.
it's a great way to go. Honestly, you can't go wrong with it. I I still carry the shield or the PO7. It's funny every time I put the PO7 on, I'm reminded why I like that gun so damn much.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what it is, but there's something about that about CZ and the way they built that PO7 that I'm in love with it every single time. And I'm to the point I keep thinking like I should go and like cut it or mill it for a dot. And I could have Josh do it, and he's super awesome. He'd do it, and he'd do a fantastic job. But I'm like, why? I don't need it.
yeah,
It's
there and well the other part is too is like they have like the PO9 compact the Nocturne that has the
yeah.
RMSC already direct milled on it. So you go get yourself a EPS, you know, Holliston EPS, and you put that on there, and it's literally the lighter version of the Shadow 2 carry, and
Hmm.
you can sit there and run that bad boy all day long, and it's a perfectly functional double action compact pistol. But I wanted something just a slightly smaller. I almost pulled the trigger on a Glock 49, but don't really have a
Someone that
use for that one.
what is the one that it was like the Glock 29 or something like that that was the 357 SIG. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
What was that one?
yeah. They had the was it 29, 30, 31?
Something like that,
And
yeah.
then like 32, 33, 30, not 34. Maybe it was something weird. No, it was like 36, 37, 38 or something like that. Had like the 45 gaps or whatever like that. Yeah. Yep. Dead calibers and dead
Yeah.
Glocks. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'll show it off as soon as
Yeah,
I get it.
that's cool. When does it come in? Or
Some
you already have it.
sometime this week. Sometime I ordered
Oh,
it last
sick.
week. It'll come in there. Old gun dot
Where'd you get it
deals
from?
locked and loaded.
Gun dot.
Gun dot deals locked and loaded. I'm normally a Battlehawk Armory guy, but they didn't have it on the cheap price, and they didn't have Apex triggers for $100. So, and those things, I love those things. I love the way they feel. And Glock triggers are fine, and you can work with them, and you can polish them up and do everything else. But the Apex ones, they pop every primer. They got a good break. They got a good shoe, and it's a good trigger to mess around with. So why not make it the way I want it?
I've been happy with so I've got the 19, the Gen 5 19, and honestly, I love the trigger. I mean, with these striker fire triggers, it's been interesting to me because like I had the M&P and the Glock 19 Gen 5, and I'm finding that these stock triggers are pretty damn good
Yeah.
out of the box.
No, they're
I'm
really
like
good.
to the point of like this is a very shootable trigger. I don't actually have to do anything with this trigger.
Yeah,
And I'm really happy about that.
there's not a lot of guns that actually you get out of the box and you're just like, this is not shootable. I don't feel comfortable shooting this gun like this out of the box.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton of those out there anymore. You do anything? You shoot a match? Buy anything?
No, no, there was no match. There was no match this week. The Cowboys, the what do you call it? The Cowboy Action Society, SAS guys, whatever.
Yeah.
They had their big end of trails thing, and so they took up the entire range, which was sad because usually this would have been the Still Challenge weekend. I talked to Kepler, and so next month they have Lance Peters is doing the inaugural Black Rifle match, and so they're like, well, we might have to cancel the Still Challenge, and I'm like, okay, but that's the only match Dakota gets to shoot, and I'm like, I don't want to be selfish, but I kind of want that match,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, do you want to be the match director for it? Then I'm like, I will be the match director if we can keep that match going. They're like, cool, and I'm like, cool. So I'm gonna match direct the next Saturday or the July Saturday Steel Challenge match, just so Dakota gets to shoot a match. But
So it's the one thing is as the Steel Challenge goes more and more, like Steel Challenge is one of those sports where you can actually build the stage, like literally like pour the concretes and the posts in the ground for the actual stage. So like literally stage setup every week is here are these targets, here are the poles, drop them in, clack 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 clack, and then everything's set up.
What Kepler and Dave did is pretty damn awesome. And so in all of our bays we have those. I don't know what they're called, but they're these like little orange flag looking things that are just like mounted in the ground.
Yeah.
Um, Basically those flags all correspond to a stage, and so like 102 is on the outhouse stage. And what Kepler and Dave did is they have the stands and they have the target sticks that are all pre-cut so that all you have to do is take the stands out to each one of them, out to the outhouse bay stage, and just put those up, and it's all pre-cataloged. And at the end of the match, they duct tape them back up, whatever's not shot to crap and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they wrap it all up. So it's the easiest thing. You can show up, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes before the match actually starts and just drag the stuff to each one of the stages, and your setup is all of like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's super fast.
Yeah.
And then people come out, they shoot, they have a great time, go home. It's fantastic. I mean, it's such a great just intro to the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love USPSA. USPSA is always going to be my thing, but I sure love how easy they made it for Dakota to get into this thing, and I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, Steel Challenge is the first type of shooting you should do, and it often becomes the last type of shooting you can do.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth. There's a fellow who has he's in a wheelchair thing, and he's still a very good shooter and everything like that, but he's bound to a wheelchair. But he comes out, he shoots, and he has a great time.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome. They had a survey poll. They're like, should we add more movement to USP or to Steel Challenge stages? And the results came back, and they're like, no, we definitely don't want to do that. And so I think they're gonna make some more stages, but it's not going to be movement based, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
The one movement stage that they have in there, I can never remember the stupid name of it. It's not really
Outer Limits
fun. If you say so, I'm terrible with the names.
I don't like it. Yeah, it's the 4-stage one where it's shoot 2, move to the next box, finish up. Yeah. It's not my favorite one either, and it's just like everything's kind of far, and it's just kind of weird. But I haven't shot. I don't think I've shot Steel Challenge ever with a dot. I mean, I remember shooting it with handguns, and it was, it's slightly harder, but not the hardest thing ever. Like no shot in Steel Challenge is hard. Every shot in Steel Challenge just makes you want to just smash the trigger and move on, and then you're just like, oh, sights, and it's just so. Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty excellent. It'd be a pretty good dot occlusion shooting sport. I feel very like I want to just take my Glock 26, cover up the dot, and then shoot that thing from appendix, and just see how well I could shoot it. So
Well, you actually can't shoot from appendix in Steel Challenge.
Oh
That is
no.
one of their rules for sure, which I kind of get because in a funny way, in a 5 stage match, we draw the gun what 5 times more than in a USPSA match kind of thing.
Oh, considerably more.
Yeah, and so I mean, I totally understand the safety aspect of it and things like that, but
It would be fun.
maybe down the road they will, right? Maybe they'll make the change and because I mean, how long did it take IDPA to finally allow appendix?
Oh yeah, like 5 or 6 years after it was super relevant, and then they had someone do it, and then they tried to throw them out of the sport, and then after they threw them out of the sport, they were like, you know what? Let's do
Hmm.
appendix. So the
Yeah,
typical IDPA way.
I've always loved, I get it, like I do get it, but I've always loved listening to people carry the water for a bad idea because that's what the company says that you have to do. And I get it. I totally understand it. Like if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Andrea said this and she's not a good person," I'm absolutely going to defend her. I don't care. I don't care what she said. I'll defend her until things change, and then it's like, yeah, we don't think about it. I don't know. People, it's fun. I've really come to enjoy it, and so I'll do the match directing in July if we do a Saturday match again and they want another match. I'll be happy to do it just because, admittedly, I'm being selfish because I want to give Dakota the opportunity to actually get out there and shoot, and he enjoys it right now, and so I'm going to keep putting that in front of him and letting him go and shoot it.
And it's perfectly fine with him shooting it all he wants because it's all 22. When he actually starts
Yeah.
shooting 9mm costume primers, that's the crux of it. That's when it's going to get hard. But
I don't know, Dakota. You don't really like this, do you? I mean, it doesn't look like it's that fun.
you want to go mow lawns. But if you want to send your kid out to mow lawns, put him in a Dominate Defense belt or use a US Operator Gear. Fantastic product. The best belts in the
American
industry.
Operator Gear, right?
American Operator Gear. What did I say? US Operator Gear. Whatever.
U.S. Operator.
Sorry, everybody. I'm trying. Check them out. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off your order. The best belts in the industry, bar none. Um, Also, check out Rune Tactical. Get a +1 in your gun. Probably not going to be needed in Steel Challenge, but why not do it anyway? But definitely needed for that USPSA, those 23 round stages or those 20 round stages with a lot of steel. Get your +1 in there. Use promo code PARA10 and W74 guide rods. Get a tungsten guide rod. Get some tungsten batteries. Get everything in the gun to weighten it up, change the balance, do what you need to do to get your gun to feel exactly the way you want it to feel. W74 guide rods. Also use promo code PARA10. Telegram messaging app. Download it. Search PARAcast. You can ask us some questions if you want, or just hang around and shoot the crap with us.
Let's see, from my very good friend, Mr. Ron Davison. We have a new shooter that is really enthusiastic and is getting involved with USPSA stage designs, but he's obsessed with creating scenarios a la IDPA with no regard to the rulebook. How would you guide him without discouraging him? That's the easiest way to do it is to let him build his stages and be there and be there and help him fix them. I mean, it's easy for somebody to come up and say, "Well, this is illegal. Go fix it." But I'd go up there and be like, "Okay, I love what you've done here. This is a lot of fun. Here's some things. Here's some thing. Okay, in USPSA, this is this rule. But if we change it, we can still follow your idea. You can follow your intent, but we'll make it legal for USPSA if we just change it this way. And then you just and if you do it together, if you solve the problem together, it's received much better because he's excited and he wants to build these stages and he wants to help. And if you come along and you're helping with him and you're teaching with him, then it's two friends who are trying to create a successful solution, as opposed to, the almighty range master saying, "Get that shit out of here. I don't like your stuff. You go away and go shoot your IDP gay somewhere else."
Yeah, the other thing too is like I think when everyone gets into kind of USPSA, um, yeah, in IDP and other shooting sports too, but definitely in USPSA when it's like the first club that they go into and that they're trying to shoot and they really have a self defense mindset, is they want to turn everything into like a kill house. You know, like I want these scenarios, I want to run
They
around
do.
here, I
They
want to
do.
like, and it's just like the one thing that kind of points to it is the they are trying to exercise tactics on the flat range, and which is more of a pistol sport as far as like it's like a sport shooting skill based context about accuracy and basically accuracy and thinking with a gun in your hand. And so like bringing those points up, it's just like yeah, it's like absolutely has a lot to do with self defense, and these are like humanoid targets, and we would like to make people the best we absolutely can with a handgun or a PCC, you know, whatever, do your thing. But um,
It
what
is Pride Month.
what we're trying to do is we're trying to make accurate and effective shooters because we can't really test tactics on kind of like the flat range. And no matter how you build up, no matter what drill you're doing, if you have a shoot house or whatever like that, you can practice a couple little things. But besides that, you can't really do that. But what you can do is push people to design things to bring out the best actual mechanical shooters that are possible to be produced in USPSA. And it's like if you want people to clear a corner or come around this or like have to retreat off the back, then make the designs in so much that the fastest thing would be for them to retreat and shoot at the same time or advance and shoot at the same time. You know, not that they can be compelled to, but just that would be the best thing. And you know, it's kind of like every other. You want to turn USPSA into a sport where you have to use cover. You just put the fault lines more in, so they're uncomfortable for everybody else. And then when they get the I'm a left-handed shooter, how dare you do this? They can answer to them and then try to even it out a bit.
No, I think that's true. The other thing to remember is if they're not hurting anything, then let them, because I mean, as everybody who's shot the sport for a long time knows, one of the hardest things to do is to get somebody who's willing to come out and help. And if they're willing to come out and help, then give them some guidance, give them some ideas, but let them build the stage they want. And when the high level guys come through and they smoke them and game the stage, if he's a good stage designer and he sounds like he wants to be, he'll learn from it and he'll figure something else out. And obviously you got to keep things within the rules, but I remember, and I always tell people this. I mean, Dirk is one of my favorite people in the entire world. And when he first started designing stages, he would design some really great stages. And sometimes in the early days, some of them were stinkers. But he kept coming out and he kept doing it and he became better and better. And some of the best stages, I still to this day talk about the best stage I ever shot. Had this plate rack at like 35 something yards right before I went out to Area 8. And it was all because Dirk had this idea that he's going to put a plate rack out there. And at the time, I was like, this thing sucks. But when I showed up to Area 8 and we had to shoot a mini popper at 30 something yards, I was like, God bless Dirk,
Yeah.
because he tested me on something that actually was of value. And it's not to say that you have to have all these like super high level stages at a level 1 match, but it was great. I love that fact that he did that. I think that was cool.
Well, the other thing that people kind of forget is just like just because people do things that are uncomfortable for them in a match doesn't mean what they're doing is bad. Like all of a sudden, if you bring
Yeah.
out like strong hand or weak hand shooting in a USPSA match, it's like oh my gosh, like built into a stage or like that's the stage requirement must be finished with weak hand or such and such or from this position or whatever.
Yeah.
Like those things are actually good things for preparing other shooters and showing holes in their game. And like that's shooting. And if you really have a terrible problem with shooting strong hand or weak hand, it's probably not because the stage designed. It's just because you don't like doing it because you're not very good at it.
Yeah,
Like
usually. I mean, usually that's what it is. And we see that all the time with my indoor matches where I love standards. Everybody, it's a running joke. You know, if you come to one of my matches, you're going to shoot standards, which means there'll be some strong hand and some weak hand. Honestly, I do it because I've shot enough major matches where they require it that I see that as a skill that is worth your time to learn.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so from that perspective, if it's the funniest thing, this sport, USPSA, it has its roots in the martial aspect of the game, of law enforcement trying to become better so they didn't get killed in the streets. And I mean that's still there is still a martial aspect to what we do. And we get right now, like we get so butthurt if we have to do more than, like move quickly from view window to view window. But you look at some of those old time videos from the 90s, those guys were jumping over shit and like running through barricades and
Oh,
crazy
like
stuff.
just going through
It was
tunnels,
nuts.
shooting things,
Yeah.
dragging stuff, shooting things. Like it was really kind of like a
It was the Wild
it
West.
was the Wild West. Like there were some gags in it that didn't really go towards who is the best pistol shot or whatever. But it kind of tested a wide variety of almost like kind of combat applications. And like yeah, there's many people I would not like to see hop over stuff or jump over stuff. Um, but
Well, if you think about that though, Tom, when they somebody told me this, I don't remember who, but the whole point of being able to leap over this barricade before you drew the gun was to demonstrate that there was enough retention on your holster to do the task.
yeah, and
And if the gun came out, then that's a
I don't
yeah.
want to find out when there's not. But like for all the people who are like, we want to make USPSA more entertaining. That stuff actually was more entertaining. Like
Oh
having
yeah,
the
it
be
really
athletes
was.
and running around and shooting stuff like that is way more entertaining. If you're watching American Gladiators with freaking Glocks, like it'd be a lot better. It'd be more fun. And I think like
Meanwhile, you've got Sherwin Greenfield over in Area 3 be like, yes, I remember this. And then all the Area 3 people are like, you go to hell.
the what I think is interesting is like games stuff like the tactical games will be
Mhm.
televised and more wide have a higher, I would guess, it factor with the
Viewership?
public, like or like our name recognition, um, than USPSA, just because they're doing other things that people can relate to. And if they're running, sprinting, and hopping over walls and grabbing a rifle and shooting, that is more interesting than some guy with another jersey on it where people actually don't support him, shooting the,
Hmm.
the same stage in 0.8 of a second longer, but he got 4 more alphas. It's just like,
I think
okay.
I think that I think that's the trick, right? And you say the right word where it's like it's relatability. Can your average person watch a USPSA stage and understand generally what's going on as opposed to say like a tactical games where they see a person, they pick up some weights, they drag some stuff through. Can your average person watch that and be like, "Oh, I see what they're doing." In USPSA, no, that doesn't exist. I mean, the best USPSA kind of thing for your average person to understand is pro-am. You go out, you shoot all the steel down, and whoever gets the most wins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's literally like how many points can you accumulate before the clock runs out, and
Yeah.
that's way more interesting. Like honestly, hit factor is great for what we do and trying to figure out a shooter that's down to the 100th of a point, but it's
Hmm.
absolutely dog crap for people to sit there and understand and watch it. Like I don't think there's any shooter who understands exactly how to win a match using hit factor scoring within their first year shooting USPSA. It's just like I'm
Right.
shooting good, I'm shooting worse, I'm shooting good, I'm shooting worse. Computer says I won. Like that's all it
Well,
is.
well, that's the thing. It's like Barry's Still Open that Dan and Glenn put on. I mean, that is so much easier for a brand new for somebody who doesn't know anything about the sport to understand than any USPSA match by far. Because the stage, I mean, they still have USPSA style stages, but the person runs up, and even if it's a first person hat cam, they run up and they shoot this thing, and it goes dink, 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 and the still falls down. And they're like, cool, that guy's doing good. And then they run to the next place, dink, 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 and the still falls down. USPSA, they run up, they shoot the brown guy, and then another brown guy, and then there's a white guy, but they don't shoot him. Nobody.
Bram, bram,
That,
bram, bram.
there's no.
Yeah.
That doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything, and it's not relatable to your average person. And
And
like how many people I've ever showed a match video to, I don't show them the USPSA stuff. I show them like Barry's still open because people like, oh, cool, that's you. Okay, oh, that's a hat cam. Yep. Oh, and you're shooting the steel. Yep. That
yep.
looks like fun. You should come out and do it.
Yeah. No. It's absolutely. They show a hat cam of you doing a 50-yard sprint and jumping over like a barricade. There's nothing. Kick open a door. Grab this shotgun. Shoot these 4 things. Like everyone wants it to be a 1980 Soldier of Fortune match. That's what
Yeah.
they're looking for. And the tactical games is honestly like the closest thing that people are coming to that nowadays.
hmm From Itzik, I shoot IDPA. I'm currently classified as a sharpshooter. Hey, well done. And I want to make master. How should I train? Is there a preferred division to shoot?
Any
Go ahead.
well, I would say any division is IDP is kind of in a weird spot because the classifier, especially when they do the 5x5 classifiers, it's such a short classifier that it is possible, very possible to hook it up to make master or something like that, and kind of like any of the divisions, as long as you have a couple things going for you, which is good draw on the handgun, like a decent draw from concealment, like because that's going to be a good part of the time that you're eating up on those shorter classifiers is the draw, and you just have to be able to be accurate over a decent string of time. Like if you want to be really good at IDPA, like if you really want to be good at IDPA, do 15-yard bill drills. Because a lot of the transitions in IDPA are not close enough to like really do something like a Blake drill and be effective. But you could do like being good at doing something like 10-yard bill drills, 15-yard bill drills, and just shooting all alphas and then trying to shoot it in like, I don't know, for like a 10-yard, like 3.5 seconds. Like if you can shoot a 10-yard bill drill in 3.5 seconds on an IDPA target with 0 points down, like that is starting to become something of like a master level skill. And like that's the whole point of IDPA. Get in position as fast as you can, make 2 well-aimed quarter-of-a-second splits, find the next target, and if the targets are closer and easier, then make faster splits. But essentially, that's what you're looking for if you want to make master. If you want to be competitive, it's just like USPSA. You got to get there and hammer the gun and get good points and move on to the next one as quickly as possible. But be able to basically shoot any target within 20 yards with quarter-of-a-second splits with A's. And doing that fast with a good grip and something like doubles, shooting doubles at 10 yards, or shooting bill drill at 10 yards, or doing one-shot returns, just bringing the gun down into the A zone, hammering another shot. And as quarter-second splits, like you'll basically become a master in no time doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, in Still Challenge, one of the cool things that they have, because the stages are all the same, they have their peak stage time, so you know what the fastest run is on it. And so, like, if you shoot Smoke and Hope, you know how fast you need to shoot that thing to achieve the high hit factor. IDPA is similar. You know the time you have to actually meet to achieve the master classification. And so, I mean, if you're trying to practice it, dry fire with that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is where Joey Sauerland kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. He's like, look, this is what the time has to be. You've got to get this thing done. Now go do it. And when you're actually doing it, when you're actually pushing those hard speeds, you're starting to realize that you start to change physically, like the way you physically present yourself, the way how you're gripping the gun, you start to change to achieve those speeds. And those things you're not doing right now because, well, you're not doing them.
Yeah.
But when you actually have to shoot at the speed necessary to win, you're going to find that. And forcing yourself to actually try and complete the time. I mean, give it a try sometime and see what it takes, because that's the time.
I mean, I used to,
and you'll see really quick.
On the old 90 shot IDPA classifier way back in the day, and this is probably 15 years ago, I would take the times and what you would need. Like I would take like, all right, this guy He put up his times online, and he shot an 89-second classifier. And so I would look at those times, and I would go, okay, like I'm going to make my par times 80% of those with sight pictures on, dry fire targets. And I would do that, and then like I'd go and I'd shoot a classifier, and I'd shoot it, 85 seconds or right around that time. It'd be a little bit slower doing it live fire, but that's just kind of what you have to do. Like the gun handling has to be on point, and the sights are lined on the target. And as long as you're like able to press the trigger correctly, if you meet those times and get used to working under that pressure, it comes in pretty quick. But just like all dry fire, the grip has to be right and the vision has to be right. If you can get the grip and the vision right in those like par times, you'll be fine. When people run into trouble is when like their grip and their vision is 80% to meet the 80% par time. It's like you have to have 100% on each one of those and meet that par time. And then once you're consistently doing that, you're ready to move on to the next drill or the next string or whatever like that. And then once you have that all together, you'll do it no problem.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's all our questions for the day.
Awesome. Well, for Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson. Bidding you not to buy a 6-hour P320 if you can help it, and if you do have one, you can send it back to get certified. For what? I don't know. There's no problem. I don't know if you heard about this Brownells.
Yeah, you may in fact be able to. What Brownells do?
Brownell sent a bunch. Apparently, Brownell sent a bunch of them back to get recertified to make sure that they were safe. And they got some of theirs back. That's allegedly what happened. So that's fantastic because they're getting recertified when there's not a problem.
Yeah. I love a company that will take the gun back and fix a problem that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, it's very admirable. So anyway, for Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson, being your peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters on the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.